Welcome to State and Local. I'm Anne Marie Battistone, excuse me, and you're watching Norfolk Public Access. This is another in a series of interviews with candidates for town office. As you know, the election is May 6th, and of course, town meeting after that is May 13th. I just wanted to say I have not been able to actually contact Dan Fallon, who's my guest today, his opponent, Mark Flaherty. I've been able to email him at the school committee. So I have made an outreach to him, but I haven't been actually able to leave a direct message. So I just wanted to mention that. And so again, my guest is Dan Fallon. Oh, thank you so much for coming on.
How do you do? How do you do?
Yeah. Now, Dan, just tell me a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, and
originally from Boston, in West Roxbury, and then from there I lived in Foxborough, and then I moved here 9 years ago. And my position, as far as my experience, is that I was a deputy sheriff for over 20 years in Middlesex County, and I'm still a reserve deputy sheriff there. And I have over 35 years experience.
Now, you've had training at two different academies, two different police academies, I guess you would call them.
Yes. Mine, the first one was with the Middlesex County Deputy Sheriff's Department, and also the Department of Corrections.
Now, just tell me something. Now, what does a sheriff actually do? How is that different than what you're doing now as a constable?
Well, the difference there is we have more power. It has a little about almost the same, but not quite. The training, you have to go through a training. As a constable, that's why I'm appalled. In a lot of the towns, they don't have any kind of training when they have an election, but they don't have any background. And they can run for the office, and when they run for the office, they only are limited to how much work they can do because they don't have the academy background.
Oh.
So that's...
I mean, I could run for constable?
Yes, you could, and this is what would happen, but you'd be limited to certain things you could do because you wouldn't know them unless you went to school, like Dean College, or, you know, and I recommend a lot of people go down to the courthouse and learn and sit on Thursday, and you'll learn all about it.
Is that where you went? Did you go to Dean for this?
No, I went through the academy. Mm-hmm. No.
Now, what is it actually that the constables do? Now, you would remain as constable for Foxborough. You can work in two towns.
Yes, yeah.
How many? What's
a
the
lot
limit
of
constables.
A lot of constables have 4 or 5 different towns.
Oh.
Some of them are appointed. In Foxborough, you have to have experience. You can't be just appointed because you want to be appointed. You have to have some kind of law enforcement background.
Is there an election there as well?
No,
there's no election.
No. Some towns have a.
Oh.
It's like 50-50.
I didn't know.
Yes, some towns are 50-50. This town, because of the fact that I'm running here, is because a lot of lawyers are asked me from this town to run, and I can do service in this town.
Oh, I see. Now, so what is it? What is it actually? What's the scope of the service?
Well, we'll start.
Quite varied, isn't it?
Well, it varies in different courts. Yes, you got 3 different type of courts. You got your district court, you got your superior court, and you got probate court. District court is mostly probably for evictions and capiases. So you can sue someone up to $7,500. It was $5,000 back on 2011.
And
they changed the law.
So-called small claims.
Small claims, and they changed that. So they made it so it's up to 75,
I
which is
remember
good.
It was 2000.
Yeah, well, it's changed over the years, you know. So, which is good. It's really good for a lot of people. But anything over that would end up go to superior court. A lot of people can't go to the district court because sometimes they owe $14,000, or there could even be more than that. So they would go to superior court.
Now, the habeas is just another word Latin for warrant.
That's exactly right.
And habeas corpus means an arrest.
That's exactly right.
Now, can you do arrests as a constable?
Absolutely, yes. Oh. Yes. So, but you only could do it as long as you have the warrant from the court it's in. Now, in a lot of cases, a lot of constables don't know this, it's called a 4C. A 4C is where you go into another district. Say, hypothetically, I wanted to do a physical arrest here, even though I'm not a constable here. I would take a form, which I have, go down to the district court and rent them, and I would tell them, I got so-and-so, I want to arrest them here in Norfolk, and I would give it that, and the clerk would notarize it and everything else and give me the authority to do that one-time physical. Well, you can do more than that. to do a physical arrest.
Now
but a lot of constables don't know that. So that's where the experience comes in of going to the academy and learning all this.
Now 4C, F-O-R-S-E-E.
Exactly. It's called a 4C.
So that would be initiated by, say, you're already presently constable in Fox. Would be someone in Foxborough that wants somebody who's in, say, Norfolk.
That's exactly. You can use a 4C and come in here and arrest the person.
Now, do you ever? Now, what about probate court? If you
probate is a whole different kind of scenario. Probate is in a lot of cases, lawyers will ask you to do a subpoena. Now you got to know how to do a subpoena and be sure that you get all the evidence that they give you. They give you a whole list of items and different things, like maybe a driver's license, a birth certificate, how long they lived in the residence, where they work, how many children they have, what's your income. You have to know all of this when you go out and do a subpoena, and you are the one that gets this stuff sometimes, or sometimes they deliver it to another lawyer or to the office.
You just run back. So you would be doing the questioning?
No, I would. No. The lawyers would do a list on it, and I would go out and be sure to get that information. I might drop that off in hand. Has to be done in hand, a subpoena, and then at that point, I would go back and get the stuff and bring it to the lawyer.
Now, what's the difference between a subpoena and a warrant?
Well, there's a big one. Warrant, you arrest somebody and you can lock them up and take them in. Handcuff them and you can lock them up and take them in. A subpoena has a lot of powers. When you hear the word subpoena, you've got to not lie. That subpoena is telling you this is what they want. Birth certificate, a license, residence, income, how many in the family, how many cars you have, how much on their home. And you can't lie on that because that goes before a judge.
But it means you're also being called to come in, aren't you, with a subpoena?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, yes.
Now,
a lot of constables really don't get involved in it because it's complicated. They don't have the training, and this is really the truth. They don't have, a lot of them, run. They get elected, and they don't have the real training.
Because I have a little question now. So with that subpoena, you don't just give it to the person, you actually have to talk to them?
No, I give them the subpoena, leave it with them, and I tell them that I'll be back to pick up all the evidence.
That's when they fill it out.
That's exactly. They go to their lawyer and they have to give me that.
Now, if they
and I deliver that back to the lawyer.
Now, how much is involved in trying to track people down? I mean, if you have to go time and time again?
Well, that's basically mostly, well, let's use hypothetically the probate, because we're talking about probate. There is a big difference here. On probate, it's usually for back support, child support, and the court doesn't tolerate that. You've got to pay. So hypothetically, if you gave me a capias from Superior Court, I would go out and I try to get a hold of that, we'll say your husband, 5 or 6 times, and we didn't get him. What we'd do is we would go back to the judge, and I would go with you and say, listen, I tried 6 or 7 times to get this fellow, and I can't because he's either at work or he's at a different residence, and what I need is a sunset clause so I can arrest him during the week. Because a lot of people
Or at any time.
At any time, and I can pick him up any time of day.
Oh, I see.
So there's a lot more to the eye that meets being a constable. And that's why I'm running, and that's why I got 35 years experience in.
Now, it isn't just attorneys who hire you. The town also can pay you to do things?
Yeah, like this town of Norfolk, it's all they do is they pay you to put warrants every time they have a town meeting.
Not every town does that, right?
Yeah, every town does that.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, yes, every town does that, every town. And they have you posted on 4 different places in this town, hypothetically.
Now, what's
and the town pays you for that.
Now,
but you have to be a constable. And being a constable, it's considered a disinterest party.
Oh, is that it?
That's the word.
So the assumption is that the people that are working in those offices might not put it where it's supposed to be?
Well, you're responsible because being responsible, you're bonded by a bonding company.
And they're legal notices.
They're legal notice, and you're going to be bonded by a bonding company for $5,000.
Oh.
And that costs you $100 every year. And most constables that have either been appointed or elected are most 3-year terms.
Now, not every town has an election, do they?
No, they don't. A lot of towns can appoint you, but
were you appointed in Norfolk?
No, I was appointed in Foxborough,
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And in Foxborough, you have to have, they want you to have a law enforcement background. So.
Have you worked in any other towns as constable?
No, just there. No.
Now, so in other words, with this business of the postings within the town,
yes,
that would not be, say, if they're looking for people on a board or any of that stuff.
Oh no. That's just a post for the town meeting, the town meetings, the town warrant, when we're going to be doing that 3 or 4 times a year. That's it.
Now, how did you happen to get into being a constable? Did you do some other line of work before that? Did somebody think you would be good at it and sort of push you in that direction?
I went and got involved with being a deputy sheriff. So that's how it started. And I left the deputy sheriff's department, and then after leaving, I retired. And then what I did is I took this up as a constable, because it's basically the same, and I had good training, and people asked me, the lawyers would ask me for them, so that's why I do it part-time.
Now, you were a sheriff in Middlesex?
Middlesex County, yes.
So now what towns, is that Boston? No, that's Suffolk.
No, that's Middlesex. Here is Suffolk. Here is Norfolk.
Yeah.
Then Boston is Suffolk.
So Middlesex took care of into what towns?
Oh, so you got 52 towns.
Oh, okay.
It's the biggest in the state.
Is it west of Boston out here, or is it north, or?
Well, it's more north. It's more north. Yeah.
Now, what else can you tell us about some of your sort of what the difficulties might be of being a constable? I mean, you've got.
Well, I mean, if you.
Do you have to go into court?
Yes. You never know. You might have to do a physical arrest. You might have to do a repossession. You might have to do eviction, and you got to be bonded. And it's up to you as a constable to be sure that the service and the work is done right. And this could be, and even with this town, when they post, or the town might ask you to do a lien, or so forth. Here, you got to be sure.
A lien on property.
Yeah, they'll ask you. They can ask you to do it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and then if you don't do it right, the town could be sued, and you can be sued.
Now, what's the advantage of having a constable arrest somebody as opposed to having the police go?
Police don't get involved with civil.
In what?
In civil matters. That's civil.
Oh.
Yeah, it's civil.
Even though you're arresting somebody, it's still civil.
It's still civil because it's for money or it's for run support.
Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah. But I imagine you're able to call, if you run into trouble, have you...
Well, yes. Hypothetically, if you were out and I was doing a physical arrest and I was in the town, I would notify the police department that I'm there, and I would ask for an assistant, meaning a sergeant. He would come out because they have experience on constables, and they would assist you.
But you call when you need them?
You only call when you think you need them, right? Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation where you felt you were in danger? Or
oh yeah, one fellow, he went out the back window in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But you weren't actually threatened at that.
No, I was never threatened. But I mean, crazy things do happen. You know, right. He went out the bathroom window. Oh, and I heard the window shut and the door shut, and I went around the back, and he was running in the woods. Oh. And as he was running through the woods, he had to come back because he was in the middle of a...
There was a fence?
No, he had not only a fence, but he had it was all corn. It was a cornfield. And when he was in the middle of the cornfield, what happened is he had to come back to me because there was a big dog chasing him. I just stood there, and he had to come back to me. But there's a lot of funny things happen, a lot of crazy things. Oh, my
goodness. Now, now, will you be putting out signs
as
well?
Will.
And
yes.
Have you got a committee together for
Yes, I do.
So you'll be calling.
Yes.
Now, what other is there access to information that a constable has that the average person doesn't have, or is it about the same?
Yes, you can go online. You can get that online. Yes, you can go online.
And so you
could find out what the laws are on a constable. Yeah, you can go on the computer, get it. You go on Google and put in constable, and they'll give you a printout of the laws and what a constable does and what a constable can do or whatnot.
I mean, do you have access to information about, say, me or anybody else as a constable?
Only if you're issued a warrant by the people.
And then you would be able to go in and...
Yeah.
And you... Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Now, so you're... what else can you tell me about your candidacy, other than your experience is pretty extensive. Is there anything else you would want to?
Well, I just feel that I'm the best candidate to run for the town. I ran last year, but there was a change in the law. They changed it from 1 year. It was a 3-year term, and then all of a sudden they turned it back. It was a 1-year term. So I have an opportunity now to able to run again.
Now this is, so will they be staggered?
Yes, they will be.
Because
yes,
because Mark Flaherty has already been constable for a year.
Right.
So you'll be starting, if you'd be starting a third year.
That's exactly, second year.
A second year,
It'll be
rather.
a 2-year term. I'm running for a 2-year term.
Oh, 2
Yes,
years,
yes.
all right.
That's it.
And so now nobody else has, so could somebody else have come forward and had a more of a primary? Could somebody else have come in and also run against the two of you as well? And it's not. I know it's not happening, but
no. Well, they would have had it done that way back in. Back, I think the date was the 28th of March.
I mean to pull papers.
Yeah.
But somebody else.
But the final, if you wanted to withdraw, would be today, April 3rd.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if I wanted to withdraw, I could do it as of today. If I don't, then I go on the
Which
ballot.
you're not doing.
No, absolutely not. I'm too qualified. That's why I'm running.
So, but okay, so and I find that interesting that you say just about anybody could come forward and run for constable.
That's right. But then sometimes afterwards, people realize that,
Exactly.
that they don't have the training.
Exactly. Oh, well, very good. Well, listen, I think was there anything else that you wanted to mention? Did you? So, in other words, you were interested in work. Now, let's say, have you worked? You haven't worked for any other towns as constable? Then you've just been Foxborough. And you lived in
well, I mean, I've
Foxborough.
been in other towns, under a C4 or something like that, and I worked for half a dozen lawyers and stuff like that. So.
Oh, it sounds okay. Very good. Well, I guess that would be pretty much covered. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I might ask. How much time would you say what is the time commitment for a constable? There's no way to know, right? I mean, every day could be different.
Oh, you don't know. It depends what you get from the lawyers. The two lawyers would call you up and say, listen, I want you to serve a subpoena, I want you to serve a divorce paper, I want you to do a probate. It could be a number of different things. You never, so you charge a flat rate. For instance, hypothetically, to serve a subpoena, you would charge $60.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah. And it depends what else goes on with it. And a capias is, that would be about $65, $70 for that.
So all the lawyers in Norfolk or all the lawyers in Foxborough would have recourse to you or to the other constable. They couldn't go out of the town. Would they go? I'm sorry, I'm not being clear. So would they, if the person they need is in another town, would they have to go to that constable?
Sometimes they do.
Or would they have you go to the other town?
That's a very good question you're asking, because that's why I'm running, and that's why I got the experience. With me, they don't have to do that, because I would go under a C4, and I can go anywhere, and it's because I have the papers and know how to do it.
And that's a certain kind of certification?
That's exactly right.
Oh, is it?
Right. You got to know what you're doing with it.
So it's not just
so
the
hypothetically, if you wanted me to go to Franklin, what I would do is you give me the capias. I would go down to Rentham District Court. I'd bring the papers in. I'd say, I want to go for so-and-so over here. It's a warrant, okay. And I'd have to give them a 4C. And they would give me a waiver to able to go into that. See, a lot of constables don't understand that there's a lot more to this job than the eye meets. And that is really one of them, because you're only putting yourself in to be in one district. And that's why a lot of constables, some run in some towns, like hypothetically, I live here, so I'm going to run here. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to go to Franklin, I couldn't, because of the fact that they have an election too. Mm-hmm. Some other towns don't, that I could apply for and work out of there, because you can get an appointment.
Are you limited as to how many towns?
No. The more the better, because you could do better and you do better service for the lawyers.
Now, do you have a license that you have to renew?
Absolutely. You got to renew it every 3 years.
And are there different levels of the license, like what you were just talking about?
No, they're all the same.
All
they're
right.
all the same, absolutely.
And so if you're not trained, you just do the best you can as far as passing the test?
What you should do is as I say, some people run for the office. They won the election and get the appointment, but they don't get the training. And the training is they should go to school, learn all about the paperwork, because if you serve a paper wrong,
it's invalid.
It's invalid, and you could go before a judge, and at that point can be turned over to the Attorney General's office.
Right. For doing it wrong.
Doing it wrong, and they could, the the lawyer will have you reprimanded, which means that you would no longer could be a constable, and they would attach your bond.
Huh.
And you weren't able to get a bond again. Well, so there's a lot to the job that people don't know about.
Now, what do you have to pay? How often do you have to retake that test to maintain your certification, and what does that cost?
No, no. Once you take it, it's permanent.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
The only thing that you have to do is every 3 years. Every year you have to put up $100 for your bond.
Oh, your bond.
Every single year. Yeah.
So that test doesn't have to be repeated.
No,
Do you have to pay a fee to the state
no,
every?
No,
oh,
no.
Surprised the way they go after their
Right,
fees for
absolutely,
everything.
yeah.
You're like,
I know. Well, the $100 is, you know.
That's true.
Yeah. So.
But that's a pretty good return, $5,000.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
And you could get more bond if you wish to?
No, that's it.
Oh.
One bond.
Oh, you're
every
limited to
town.
5?
If I was to win the election here, I'd have to get another bond. I'd have to have a bond for this town.
Oh, right.
Every time you go to a different town, you have to get a bond.
But can you get a higher bond than 5,000?
No. They usually only give you 5,000.
So that would be the limit of what you might
Yes, yeah.
be sued for.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh, all right. Well, thank you for coming in. I think we've
thank
covered
you.
just about everything.
Okay.
And good luck.
I'm looking to see you on May 6th at the polls.
So thank you for watching. My guest again was Dan Fallon, running for constable for Norfolk. I will look for see you the next time. There are more interviews coming for other candidates, so I hope you'll stay tuned. We're going to be showing. It's going to be running, I believe, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights, starting next week, right up through that. I guess the part of that first week in May. So hopefully you'll be watching. Thanks very much.